Spokes go into a hole in the hub flange and are held there by a head. Spokes usually have a 90-degree bend at the head end, but some hubs are designed for straight spokes. If you are replacing a spoke, it needs to match the others in shape and length. The rim end of the spoke has a short threaded section. The threaded section fits through a hole in the rim and a spoke nipple is screwed down the thread to hold the spoke in position. A spoke nipple has a slot so it can be screwed onto the spoke with a screwdriver. As the nipple moves towards the hub, the tension on its spoke increases. Spoke nipples have square flats so they can be turned from under the rim with a spoke key. The spoke key must fit the nipples exactly, there are different sizes, or the key will slip and the flats will get worn away. The spoke nipple is turned anti-clockwise to tighten the spoke. The thread is a regular right-hand type, but the spoke key is turning the nipple from underneath to screw it along the spoke towards the hub. A spoke key means you can adjust spoke tension with rim tape, a tube and tyre still on the rim. But if you want to adjust the rim, it's a good idea to deflate the tyre as the air holds the rim in place, and it's easier to move when the tyre is flat. A good spoked wheel has equal tension, or both sides are equal if the wheel is asymmetrically dished, is centred, the dishing is correct, is a round circle, is a flat disc. Work to correct one problem at a time. Start with the worst problem, and when that's improved or corrected, progress to the new worst. Spend time making a careful diagnosis. Once you've decided which spokes to adjust, be systematic. You can even put tape on the spokes and number them so you know which is which. If you think carefully before you act, you can reverse what you did if you go too far. Spread the load of any adjustments over groups of spokes, turning those in the middle more and those at the beginning and end of a misaligned section less. Between each round of adjustment and re-diagnosis, stress the spokes using the procedure for checking spoke tension. Squeeze hard. This releases any twisting forces trapped in the spokes. If you don't do this, the forces will be released the first time the bike is ridden, and the wheel may go out of true straight away. This stressing process is the main difference between a hand-built wheel and one built by a machine. Watch the rim where it passes through the brake. If it moves from side to side as it spins, then the rim is not a flat disc. If it moves up and down as it spins, then the rim is not a round circle. If the bike has no rim brake, you can improvise another index by lashing a pencil to a seat stay with a rubber band or a cable tie. The easiest way to check rim truth is using a wheel jig, also known as a truing stand. You can't correct a non-circular rim without removing the tyre and tube. Watch the rim carefully and move the index point so that it just drags on the rim at its furthest point from the hub. The job is much easier if you have a wheel jig. All the spokes going to the hub from the rim's high point need to be tightened. Tighten in the middle more than those at the end of the misalignment. Make small adjustments. Don't give any spoke more than a half turn before checking and re-diagnosing. If the rim has a dip, loosen all the spokes under that point. As the rim improves, move the index point to find a new position where it drags on the rim. Between each round of adjustment and re-diagnosis, stress the spokes using the procedure checking spoke tension and squeezing hard. This releases any twisting forces trapped in the spokes. If you don't do this, the forces will be released the first time the bike is ridden, and the wheel may go out of true straight away. This stressing process is the main difference between a hand-built wheel and one built by a machine. Watch the rim carefully and move the index point so that it just drags on the rim at the extreme point of its buckle. Use the barrel adjuster of a rim brake to reach this point. The job is much easier if you have a wheel jig. The spokes going to the hub flange opposite the point where the rim kisses the brake, or other index, need to be tightened. Tighten opposite spokes all along the buckle, tightening the ones in the middle more than those at the end. Make small adjustments. Don't give any spoke more than half a turn before checking and re-diagnosing. As the rim improves, tighten the brake or move the index point to find a new position where it drags on the rim. If you need to tighten any spoke more than a whole turn, you need to loosen the other side. If you only tighten, you pull the rim towards the hub and the wheel starts to lose its roundness. Between each round of adjustment and re-diagnosis, stress the spokes using the procedure checking spoke tension and squeezing hard. This releases any twisting forces trapped in the spokes. If you don't do this, the forces will be released the first time the bike is ridden, and the wheel may go out of true straight away. This stressing process is the main difference between a hand-built wheel and one built by a machine. You can check the wheel is centered by using a dishing stick. Take the wheel off the bike and remove the skewer, and press the index tube against the lock nut, and adjust the stick until either end rests on the rim. Lock the index tube in position. Check the other side without resetting the stick. If the same setting works on both sides, the rim is centered. Check the position of the rim using a rim brake or an improvised index. Then remove the wheel. Put the wheel in the other way round. If the rim is in the same place as before, then the rim is centered. A jig will have indicators to show where the rim is. If you're not certain the jig is giving a true reading, it may be bent, you can flip the wheel over to double check that the rim is centered between the lock nuts. Loosen all the spokes on the side you want the rim to move away from. Loosen the spokes by turning the nipples clockwise to screw them along the spoke away from the hub. Start at the valve and work round, turning each one going to that side of the hub by a set amount. Half a turn is a good starting point. Starting at the valve again, go round and tighten the spokes going to the side of the hub you want the rim to go towards. Use the same adjustment you loosened on the other side. Check the dish of the wheel. This will tell you how far the rim has moved and how far to turn the spokes in the next round of adjustments. Repeat the steps until the rim is centered. On a bike for general use, a few millimeters out is acceptable, though not ideal. Check the spoke tension and the rim truth and correct as necessary.